Of course nobody believes in snuff films. It's just too sick to be real, right? Nobody in their right mind would actively produce evidence against them like that, let alone make money off of it. Al Goldstein, publisher of Screw magazine, has a standing offer of $1 million American for the one who can find a real commercially sold snuff film. The offer has been in place for years and nobody has claimed it, and for good reason. I mean, you don't buy a carton of cigarettes and then sell it for half or a third of the price, do you? Besides, as far as I know, nobody's ever taken one of these films home, seeing as they aren't sold as everybody thinks. That's too much of a risk. You pay to view a screening night. Nobody's ever held a copy of these films, except, of course, for the few people who make money off of them. As far as I know, there are only 3, all male. Actually, the only females involved in these movies are victims. Not all movies contain rape or sex of any kind, but it's not uncommon, especially with the few starring as children as victims. This all may sound a bit odd to all of you, but of course it does. It involves something that just can't exist, right? It is, though, very hard to get to attend one of these screenings. You need to be invited, and everyone who's ever been invited has been invited by personal mail, i.e. not by a post office. The letters are apparently drenched in some kind of chemical that makes paper dissolve after a certain amount of time outside the envelope. Possibly in contact with air or light, I don't know. All I know is that these people are clever and they take their measures. If they knew who I am, they'd surely kill me. Maybe even make me into a movie star. Then I'd be shown in their little cinema. It's quite a dark place, seeing as the only lights are candles situated around the screening room. The entrance to the snuff cinema is out of a decrepit old factory, reminiscent of a slaughterhouse. The letter would have short instructions on how to get to the screening room. The projector itself, apparently hooked to a recently bought DVD player, is powered by a car battery. I've been told they used to use a small gas engine back in the 30s. The chairs are the same old tables that were once used as slaughter benches. As soon as the screening is over, all the guests, maximum of 10 or so, are threatened to leave the building immediately through 3 different exits, with 30-minute intervals. The exits are different from the entrances, as they lead to underground tunnels, possibly old sewers, that lead back to the alleys in different parts of the cities. The crew, i.e. people with the films, quickly vanish, possibly through a 4th exit. If you manage to find the screening room after a screening, you wouldn't know it was used for anything like that. It looks just like a walk-in freezer with white walls, meat hooks still in the ceilings, and of course tables, with obvious marks of old, dried blood. There are about 120 snuff films to be viewed in this just one cinema, and there are probably more throughout the world. Each is categorised by victim, method of killing, whether sex is involved, and whether it takes place pre or post-mortem, and by level of brutality. At least one film is of a young blonde woman being choked to death while performing an unwilling blowjob. Another is of a young child being cut open while drunk just enough not to move, but enough to still audibly and visibly be awake. Yet another is of a man hung upside down on a meat hook, then having his testicles removed with a machete and force-fed them before he died of blood loss. I could go on and on about these movies, as I have seen a good portion of them. Why not? I have the money for it. But the goriest film I've seen was that of a middle-aged, dark-haired woman having her hands, feet, arms and legs amputated while drunk. Then, sewing them crudely back onto the wrong extremities. The next cut showed her wriggling in terror as she tried standing up on her armed feet until she collapsed and vomited. The door behind her opens, and a male figure swings an aluminum baseball bat at her head. On impact, the head bends and she let out a gurgling cry before going limp and silent. The angle of the camera changed, and the man hit her again, this time bursting it open with a debris of brain matter. A crying child was then shown eating her eyes. It was the most satisfying movie I've ever made.